Hello and welcome back to my channel. This week I want to discuss with you my week 2 on Mounjaro. So if you joined me for week 1 to see how my first week went, I'm glad to welcome you back for week 2. If this is your first time here, please make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload week by week how my journey is going with Mounjaro. So let's discuss week 2. For week 2, I decided once again to inject my Mounjaro into my upper thigh. This week, I went with the upper left thigh. Last week was the upper right thigh. The reason I chose the thigh to start this medication was based on some research I had done. I had read that when you inject in the thigh, it has a little bit of a slower uptake into your system, and it kind of helps with the side effects. Maybe you won't have them as strongly as some others do. I have found that for week 1 and 2 in the thigh, I've had very, very little side effects, if any at all. Week 2, I did not suffer from the overactive saliva glands like I did in week 1. Week 1, I was like a slobbering dog. I don't know what happened, but just my saliva glands were on overtime. This week, I didn't experience it that much, maybe just once or twice, but no nausea, no GI problems. I've really had a very good week 2 as far as side effects go. Now, is it just a fluke because I'm injecting the medication into my upper thigh? Or is it just that I'm one of those fortunate ones that so far, knock on wood, I haven't had any side effects? Well, this week for week 3, I'm choosing to inject into my abdomen, and we'll see if that affects what happens to me as far as some of these side effects go. Now, the thinking is, from the research I've done, is when you inject in the belly, in the abdomen, you get a much quicker uptake of the medication, and all of your GI stuff is right there. So it might be that's why it's affected by the medication, and people are experiencing the nausea, vomiting, and the GI issues. So we're going to see. I'm going to go for week 3 and see how this goes, and I will be injecting into the upper belly. So come back next week so I can report back to you about how those side effects were or were not evident. Speaking of side effects, one side effect that I've been worried about, or I should say concerned about, are those GI issues. The medication slows down the processing of your food. And some people are experiencing blockages and backups, and some of them end up very, very sick and even in the hospital, and I don't want that. I'm going to do what I can do to avoid that at all costs. So one thing I've started doing this last week is I am introducing daily doses of just the little individual packs. They're almost like the little drink flavor packs that you put in your water. I got some there from Benefiber, and that adds the fiber that you need to kind of help things keep going. So I am drinking one of those every day in an effort to avoid that. So I'm not having that issue, but I want to avoid it at all costs. And from what I understand, I want to do this way. I don't want to do something where I'm taking like Miralax every day or taking a pill every day to keep things nice, because I don't want my system to become reliant on that. I just want to have things that just kind of help things along. So that's what I've chosen to do for that starting this week. It's something I'll continue. I got the flavored ones. I believe it's strawberry watermelon or something. And it's not an overpowering flavor. It's just a nice flavor in a glass of ice water. And I'm having no issues with that. I do like that. With regards to other side effects that I'm concerned about besides the regular ones, I'm reading more and more and seeing more videos being released about women that are losing their hair. So I've been watching those videos, and I need to figure out what my plan of action is going to be. One of them is I'm making sure I'm getting plenty of water. I'm drinking what I'm supposed to be drinking every day. Half my body weight in ounces, drinking that water. The other thing is I'm making sure I'm keeping my protein levels really high with what I'm eating every day. But, I'm hearing people say, oh, you need to add collagen. There's collagen that you take internally, that you ingest. There's collagen that you spray on your hair. And my issue with that is I don't like using products from animals as much as I can. Yes, I'll eat some things. I don't eat meat. but I don't like using the product. So if anybody has any suggestions for anything I can use for my hair that is not collagen based, please make sure you let me know in the comments below. The same goes for the other thing I'm kind of keeping an eye on is this right here, my lovely double chin. What's going to happen if I continue to lose weight and then I end up with a turkey neck? So if you have any suggestions for that, what exercises to do or what to do for that, I'm certainly not going to be getting any type of plastic surgery or injections or anything like that. But if there's anything that will help keep me from getting turkey neck or the dreaded Ozempic face, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. You know, the very thing that got me on this Mounjaro regimen was that my blood sugar was out of control. I am a type 2 diabetic, and so I'm seeing a specialist now. She's changed my medications, and she's encouraging me to continue on with the changes I'm making in my dietary needs and my exercise. And so, but the main focus of being on Mounjaro is for my blood sugars. And I am happy to report that for this entire week 2, according to my monitor, I wear a continuous glucose monitor, and I have my range set up from 70 to 140. I have been in the green the entire week. Not once have I been high, not once. And not once have I been too low. But I did report my absolute lowest reading ever since being diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, and that was 93. I hit 93 this week. So it's very interesting to see that with the changes in medication, the changes in my nutrition, and the changes in my exercise, I'm starting to level out my blood sugar levels. I'm really enjoying that. That was the main focus. The weight loss and looking better and feeling better, that is a side effect. And that's a side effect I'm happy to take. But my blood sugars are right where they need to be. Now, I will not see my doctor again until August, and then we'll see what my A1C is. My A1C when I went in the hospital in March was 11.2. My A1C when I met with my doctor was 7.9. So we'll see what it is when I go back in August. And speaking of nutrition, what are some things that I'm doing as far as my nutrition? I was keeping track of everything that I'm eating, and I made several nutritional changes. One thing that I have added to my regimen this week is I reloaded my FitnessPal back onto my phone, and I am writing down or entering, logging every single thing I eat. And I'm being responsible in either weighing out or measuring every single thing I eat. Instead of saying, I probably had 2 tablespoons of something, I wasn't. I know it had to be much more. And now that I'm measuring, I'm seeing I was really not being careful. I'm being careful now. So I'm measuring what I'm putting into my meals, what I'm putting on my plate. I'm eating off of a smaller plate, and what I'm actually ingesting. But I have to make sure that I don't go too crazy. I want to make sure I keep my protein levels up where they need to be. And I also have to make sure that I'm keeping my fats stabilized, good fats. I am getting rid of the vegetable oils and going with the good oils like the avocado, olive oil. I'm changing slowly to those good, healthy oils. And I need to make sure that my carbs are not too high, but they can't be too low, because your brain needs carbohydrates. This is all this research I've done. I've learned these things. I know what to do. I just don't do it. And here I'm really trying hard to be responsible and do what I need to do. So I'm keeping the carbs right where they need to be, the fat, the proteins, and the MyFitnessPal is helping me keep all of that straight. It was also a really neat place for me to actually see a graph of what my weight is doing. I was doing all of my nutrition on ChatGPT. I was just telling it what I ate, and it would give me all my macros and my calories. But I didn't have a good place to really keep my weight. I keep it on my calendar, but it didn't give me a graph. And I really need to see that number going down, because that's what feeds my brain. That's what feeds my my desire to keep going strong. So having that app on there really helped. Another app that I have downloaded onto my phone, and of course I'm not sponsored by any of these, this is just me sharing with you what I'm doing. So not only am I not being sponsored, but this is not like medical advice. This is just me sharing my story. Another one is called Zozo app. And that is an app that actually does like a 3D body scan of your body. And that works better than actually getting out the old cloth tape measure and getting somebody to wrap it around your big behind and measure what your hips are. So I've been doing that. Now, I was supposed to do that today, and I did it this morning, but there's got to be something. Here's my excuse. There's got to be something in the way that I have the camera set up, the distance, the height. I'm not sure. But it's said that like I gained inches this week, and I know that's not true because I'll give you my results at the end of the video. But I know I've been working too hard for things to get bigger. It said my chest is 2 inches bigger than it was before. I know that's not true. So, but those are 2 really good apps that I'm using as far as helping me with my nutrition and my weight. I'm logging all of my food and I'm logging my weight. Speaking of my weight, because I am a little bit OCD and attention deficit disorder, and like I said, once I focus on something, I grip onto it like a bulldog. I was finding myself my food noise was gone, where you're constantly thinking about food, but I'm constantly thinking about the scale. What's the scale going to say? So this week, I actually hid my scale. I took it out of the bathroom, and it was very difficult for me the first few days because I would wake up and say, I got to go weigh myself, see how I did. And I know that's not healthy because your weight fluctuates from day to day. I know it's not healthy, but I was doing it, and I'd wake up thinking that. And then I would, have breakfast, and then I'd have to pee, and it's like, oh, I peed, I better weigh myself and see if that made the scale change. So I didn't throw away my scale. I hid it. And I'm only bringing out my scale now on days that I'm going to be doing my injections and my body scans. So that's it. Every Friday, I'll wake up and I'll weigh. I will do my body scan, and in the evening, I will do my injection. Because I'm doing them in the evening in hopes that the side effects, the nausea, will not be as bad if I do it at the evening. So one thing I've really started doing this week as well for my nutrition is, in addition to the lower amounts and being responsible, I am upping my protein drinks so I can make sure I get that protein. Each protein drink is 30 grams of protein. So if I have one for breakfast, then I have one as an iced coffee in the afternoon. I've got 60 right there, and then I can add more at dinner. But I'm enjoying those. It's nice. It's summertime. It's not cold. I have a more difficult time, I think, when it's cold. So that's been really helpful. So that's what I've done for my nutrition this week, is I'm just really being accountable, watching what goes in my mouth. Now, as far as exercise goes, we've had a really rainy week. I need to be out walking, but the walking that I'm going to be doing is different than the walking I was doing a couple years ago. A couple years ago, before I was diagnosed with COPD, I was, again, like a bulldog. I was focused. I was out there every day, and I was striving to get those 10,000 steps, and I was just huffing it. And I mean, even if it got to the point where it would hurt me physically, it's like, I got to get those 10,000 steps in. I've been doing some research about being over 50, postmenopausal, and things that I need to do to actually get in shape. And I've learned from the research I've done, now you may have different opinions, and that's okay, that when you're doing all of this cardiovascular exercise, you are putting your body into a fight or flight response mode. And that's going to release the cortisol hormone that causes you to have all of this lovely belly fat. It's better to have short increments of exercise where you're doing strength training. So yes, I'm getting my walks in, but they're leisurely walks. At least I'm moving. I'm, getting those joints moving, and I'm getting a little bit of caloric output by getting some lovely walks in, some beautiful fresh air. But what I've been doing is, when I'm on Facebook, because let's face it, I'm addicted to social media. When I'm scrolling and I see a video that somebody has posted that I want to watch, if I click on that video, I don't go back to the news feed. I start scrolling the videos, and I just scroll through the videos. And when I see one that's an exercise video, I pause, I click on it, and if it looks like it's one I can do, I get up and I do the video. And what I love is it's fresh, it's new, it's exciting, Usually they're only about 4 or 5 minutes long. There's something I can do easily. And if I do one and find that I enjoy it, I put it in my saved videos. Because if I find that I need to do an exercise, I've got it saved. And I don't have to search for something, and it's one that I know I'll enjoy. So I'm finding these little 4 or 5 minute videos, and they have resistance training with bands, and I've got some bands I can work with. Some of them just use water bottles, the 16.9 ounce water bottles, so that's 1 pound roughly. And you do bicep curls and arm extensions, and you're marching in place, and it's working. And so that's what I've been doing for my exercise, and I love it. I'm saving videos right and left as I'm doing them. Some days I do 1, some days I do 3. Some days if I just do 1 and I know I need to do something else and I've gotten up to do something, I might just find a video on YouTube like Love Shack by the B-52s, and I'll just dance in the living room. Right now I'm kind of looking like that groundhog on Caddyshack when I dance, but at least I'm moving. So that's what I've been doing for exercise. And right now we're supposed to have some beautiful days ahead of us here in the Midwest, but there are fires up in Canada and that smoke is blowing in. And even though it's going to be beautiful out, I'm going to want to get out and walk and enjoy the sunshine because we all need that vitamin D. I'm going to have to be mindful of my lungs and not subject myself to all that smoke. So I might still just be dancing inside like that old Caddyshack gopher. Let's move on to the next thing I've got on my list here. Support. Support is so important. There are groups on Facebook that I have found, not only just for the type 2 diabetes. I've found a wonderful support group there, but there are also support groups for Mounjaro. So it's really nice. And this is where I'm gleaning a lot of this information. This is where when you read 20 different posts from people that say, I don't get as sick when I inject into my thigh, you start cataloging that and you realize what works for other people might just work for you. Not always. We're all different on this journey, but that might work. So I'm really thankful. And if you're watching this because you're starting the journey yourself or you know someone who is, encourage them to look on Facebook, find a good support group. There are several. Not all of them are going to be what you need, but it will be nice to have those. And it's just so full of information. I'm really, really enjoying these support groups, and they've been a great asset for my journey. All right, the time is here. If you've stuck with me this long, thank you so much. It is the end of week 2, the beginning of week 3, and I wanted to share with you how I've done as far as the weight loss, that blessed side effect for Mounjaro. We've already discussed how my blood sugar is doing so much better in the green all week long, and I'm very, very happy about that. But let's talk about the weight loss. Now, one thing while I was preparing my notes for this, I realized some of my weight loss, or some of my weigh-ins, I should say, are at the doctor's office. Some of them are at the house. And I'm just really going to go off of my house scale because I'm only seeing the doctor once every 3 months. So I do want to say for week 2, I'm very proud to announce that I pulled that scale out, stepped on it this morning, and for week 2, I have a loss of 3.1 pounds. So, since I have started on Mounjaro, I have just finished my 2nd week. My total loss for the 2 weeks is 7 pounds. And let's combine that with the 2 weeks on Mounjaro and the 6 weeks of making the dietary changes and the exercise changes from when I was first in the emergency room. I am down a total of 12.8 pounds. Pat myself on the shoulder. It's been a very good 2 weeks. So that's why I wanted to say earlier, when I did that body scan and it said that like my chest has grown 1.7 inches, I know right now that's not right because I've lost weight. I know I'm toning up. My husband says he can see it. So I will still continue to do the body scans, but I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. I'm not going to weigh too heavily on that. And I'm also not going to beat myself up if I don't have weeks that are as prolific, let's say, with the weight loss. Again, the main focus is the diabetes, getting my numbers down. And I have a very good friend who said, I only lost a 1/4 pound. I said, girlfriend, a 1/4 pound is a whole stick of butter. So be proud of that 1/4 pound. I'm going to tell myself to be proud of the 1/4 pound. And if I have weeks where it's slowing down a little bit, it's bound to happen. I'm going to be thankful for the 1/4 pound. But for this week, I get to have, what is it? 4, 8, 12 sticks of butter. 12 sticks of butter off of this mama's backside. I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. All right, well, that's it for week 2. Tonight I'll give my injection for week 3. Again, it's, in case I didn't say it in the beginning of the video, 2.5 milligrams of the Mounjaro. I'm just getting started on my journey, but I hope you'll come back for week 3. Again, just hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and I will be doing a couple other videos. I've got a video coming up for some tips that I've learned just through my research that I want to share, and also another one. So everything's going to be coming out this week, so stay tuned for that. Until I see you again, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.